Hello, and thanks for watching this presentation where we explore why we've embraced e-learning at my company, Atelier Lumikha. We also give a brief summary of a project we're replacing online as a free, open-source, web-based course. Atelier Lumikha is a BPO based in Dumaguete City on the south end of Negros Island. We do work for American companies to manage business processes in the most effective, efficient way possible. Often we do work for other BPOs to help them manage operations in the Philippines. At a high level, e-learning as a concept aligns well with ICT's mission and vision. We feel that online learning is a positive byproduct of BPO foreign direct investment and offering the promise to make the Philippines more competitive in a global knowledge-based economy. It does this in two ways specific to ICT's mandate: by pushing more complete, diverse, and available learning to people, and by offering tools for digital empowerment. Offshore outsourcing has added money and jobs, as well as indirect revenue, by increasing spending in the services sector. According to Dan Reyes, chairman of our professional organization, the IT and Business Process Association of the Philippines, or BPAP, the BPO industry garnered over $22 billion in revenues and employed over 1 million people. The BPO industry is quite large and provides ample opportunity for employment, but it is not a hive of innovation per se. BPOs deliver highly repeatable processes delivered with as little variation as possible. Since one operates more or less as another, BPOs are relatively undifferentiated. The commercial pressure moves downward because much of the rationale for offshoring work is to lower costs through labor arbitrage. Fees are negotiated down while costs increase. BPOs must work strenuously to maintain margins. That said, we like to think of ourselves as a little bit different. To understand what I mean, let's take a minute and talk about my company, Lumikha. In the context of the BPO industry, Lumikha is a very small player in a highly commoditized space dominated by large entities. In essence, we are a food cart in a world of McDonald's and Jollibee. So we are small, working in a city our potential clients know nothing about, and generally beset by all the challenges that any small business contends with. While many might suggest that e-learning is the province of large organizations with ample resources to throw at the task, I believe the value of e-learning well outweighs its challenges. To us, we see the efficiency improvement and differentiation offered by e-learning as two key benefits. Put another way, as Oscar Wilde said it best, we are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. We're small, but we're ambitious. Earlier this year, we were approached by an organization to build a set of e-learning courses as part of a broader program management initiative. As it turns out, our clients didn't have the patience for the kind of e-learning we wanted to build, so they bailed on the project. But we stayed the course and decided to build open-sourced vocational e-learning for our own employees and extending it out to our ecosystem. We would test and iterate to make the platform good and then make it better. And we would make it freely available as a resource to share with anyone who wants e-learning skills for the BPO employment. In this way, we can support BPOs we work with, and also we can help anyone who wants to learn from the courses we build. Why are we talking about this today? Several reasons, actually. First, because we must be quicker and better than our competitors, as any commercial enterprise must. And since business process outsourcing is a people-intensive business, it stands to reason that any way we can make our people better is a way that we can be more successful. For us, e-learning scratches many itches. We know that learning is a way to make any organization more efficient. Our interest in the promise of e-learning lies in the ways that it is an especially good investment. It is the goodness of e-learning that lies in its availability, flexibility, consistency, reusability, trackability. We can look at, to understand this a little bit better, at the promise of learning broadly, we can look at Andy Grove's learning formula discussed in Ben Horowitz's excellent management book, The Hard Thing About Hard Things. Andy Grove was one of the most successful CEOs ever in Time Magazine's 1997 Man of the Year. Let's take a look at his math. Consider putting on a series of 4 lectures for a team with 3 hours of preparation for each hour of course time, or 12 hours of work in total. With 10 learners per lesson, who will work 1,500 hours per year for a total of 15,000 hours. And your training results in 1% improvement in performance. Your company will gain the equivalent of 150 hours of additional work based on that original investment. That's pretty good. In fact, it's a 12.5 times return on investment. So we can see that teaching employees yields an excellent return. Returning to Andy Grove in his classic book, High Output Management, he describes frustrated customers when they encounter employees who are insufficiently trained at relatively simple tasks, like taking restaurant orders. He then challenges us to imagine how furious customers who commission complex work, like BPOs, for example, would be if the people doing the job weren't properly trained. Certainly, without good learning continuously applied, BPO employees will not measure up. As Grove succinctly puts it, training is, quite simply, one of the highest leverage activities a manager can perform. Returning back to the goodness of e-learning, we can look at the different characteristics that constitute quality learning. Good learning is available, and that talks to us about making e-learning free and online while targeting learners located in places where internet access is reliable. So we have a good shot at distributing our online training. With online training, material can be distributed with no incremental cost, so learning scales well and it's cheap to deploy. Because e-learning is online, it's available all the time. The user decides when and where they want to learn. Using e-learning, employees and students are free to learn at their own convenience, at a pace that is right for them, and they're able to do it anywhere because it's web-based. And autonomous learning should be self-explanatory. The efficiency gain here is comparable to the difference when using online banking versus an ATM machine versus standing in a lengthy line at the bank. Because material is communicated in a consistent fashion, all learners are receiving the same training in the same way, which goes to consistency. Extensibility is also a key factor. Learners can take the material to the depth that suits them by accessing additional resources posted online or accessing progressively more complex material. Lastly, learning objects or artifacts may be recycled and repurposed infinitely to speed e-learning delivery. Accountability is an important and key aspect of e-learning, but it's only a good thing when you're measuring what matters. Fortunately, BPOs relentlessly track performance, so we can measure job performance very easily. We also use testing before and after the learning to track uptake, and we use customer satisfaction surveys to solicit input from learners immediately after the learning, 2 weeks after the learning, and then 4 weeks to see how everything's retained and what their perspective is after they've had a chance to apply this learning on the job. So at this point, you might be thinking, well, e-learning is pretty cool, but so what? So why am I talking to you today about vocational e-learning for BPOs? In a phrase, it's the job skills mismatch. This is a global phenomenon and one that needs to be addressed for BPOs and for the Philippines economy at large. Let's take, for example, Spain. Spain's employment rate is the second highest in Europe at about 20%. Yet Spanish companies will struggle to fill 2 million jobs through the year 2020. Even with 2 million fewer jobs than 2008, Spanish companies can't fill positions or have to accept lower caliber candidates than their competitors in other European countries. Consequently, Spanish workers are less skilled than their competitors in Germany, France, or Italy. The skills gap isn't unique to Spain by any stretch. We can also look at the US. You might know Mike Rowe from his Discovery Channel series, Dirty Jobs, and is the main presenter if Somebody's Got to Do It on CNN. On Labor Day 2008, he launched Mike Rowe Works, a PR campaign to focus attention on the skills gap. Today, he's challenging the belief that a 4-year degree is automatically the best path for most Americans. As the Dirty Jobs guy says, millions of people who have stopped looking for work are ignoring 5.6 million genuine job opportunities. Most of those 5.6 million opportunities don't require a diploma. They require a skill. And we can look at the Philippines as well. Last October, the British Council hosted a policy program with several key players in government and academia. Their topic, policies and strategies that could provide better support to the Philippine skills sector. As Senator Angara said, clearly there is a need for new paradigms and pedagogies. The Philippines needs to consider these for the country's skills development framework to be a meaningful and long-term driver of economic growth. In her presentation at the same program entitled Job Skill Mismatch, Is There an Effective and Quick Solution?, Ruth Rodriguez, the Division Chief for Labor Market Information Research and Career Guidance, cited an ADB paper on the topic of the Filipino youth's slow transition from school to work. She notes that as Filipinos become delayed securing employment, their chances of ever finding a job diminish considerably. The reasons for delays vary, but ultimately we can attribute these to the job skills mismatch. As young people graduate, 1 in 4 do not find work soon after graduation. Idleness creates its own inertia, and it impacts women and lower income families more significantly. What we need is a way to get people properly aligned with the skills they need and to get them employed as quickly as possible before their learning skills atrophy. The jobs are out there in the BPO sector. In fact, what keeps BPO executives awake at night is wondering how they can staff the business they have. As Dan Reyes of BPAP says, we need to develop the Philippines talent pool to address the skills job mismatch and the requirements of the global outsourcing market. To address this issue, e-learning can be a force multiplier to help address the skills gap. E-learning supplements and increases the efficiency of traditional learning by lowering barriers to knowledge acquisition. Now that we know we need it, how do we make it? Turning to my colleague, Michelle Isaias, who created some commandments for e-learning content, we use these to govern our approach to designing and creating online training. We get chunky with smaller chunks of content that are easy to digest, breaking material into small lessons to feed learners so they can more readily absorb the knowledge discussed. Brevity is beautiful because concise sentences demand less mental energy. Clear, direct expression gets the point across. We show people with firsthand knowledge applied to on-the-job scenarios and real-life examples. Learners don't remember facts, they remember stories. We say it again and again. Repetition promotes retention. Inject important ideas for short, frequent reminders to vastly improve uptake. And we simplify with bullet points, enumerating and breaking processes into steps or sequences to make learning more engaging. Interactivity involves the reader through audiovisual elements and games. The more senses involved, the better the learning. Consistent standards in visual vocabulary, tone, and graphic choices eliminate distractions by making the material easy on the eye. We get feedback after every module so that we're always making better training. We instill collaboration and social interaction to give users the opportunity to learn from common experience. So let's take an example where we are in the process of reworking material that I referenced at the beginning of the talk and deploying this to a public learning management system. Our first project is a course on Scrum. It's still in development, but if you want to see it when the course is complete, please email me at harry@lumikha.co. Scrum is a framework for more efficiently completing work in a faster and better way. It grew out of application development, but it can be applied to almost anything. Lumikha's Scrum mandate is designed to help us meet our ambitions with a common framework for problem solving and efficient project completion. Therefore, learning Scrum is compulsory for all team members. Our Scrum learning consists of 4 courses with 10 to 15 lessons, using scenario-based exercises, lesson quizzes, course tests, satisfaction surveys for learners at the end of every course. And it's going to be deployed to a learning management platform at this domain, www.learngo.ph. Thanks very much for listening. And if you have any questions about our Scrum or BPO learning, feel free to contact me directly. at my email address, harry@lumikha.co. We've also included links to resources that we touched on in the presentation in the next 3 slides. Thanks again and have a great day.